Hi, I'm Jonathan York from Bay Financial Partners, looking at investment markets. US stock indices just seem to be setting record highs after record highs. Really still pretty good flows coming in there, and the market's still pushing on. And it's just going to be very interesting to see if they can hold these sort of gains and even any further gains going into year end. Obviously, there's been a lot of talk about overvaluations and markets a little bit stretched. Given where interest rates are, valuations don't really appear to be that sort of stretched, and there is still pretty much quite a big sort of wall of money just sort of sitting there waiting to be deployed. And so it's just going to be interesting to see if those actually deployed before year end. As we discussed many times, the US economy is still in pretty good shape. You've got record low unemployment, you've got reasonable growth, you've got pretty low interest rates, not quite record low interest rates, but you have got falling interest rates as well. The Fed really has come to the party and cut interest rates. And obviously, the big key now appears to be this sort of China trade deal. President Trump has come out again and said, it's very close, phase one, very close to getting done. That's probably about the third or fourth time he's come out and said that now, but yet we still haven't seen any deal that's been signed. Now, obviously, now a little bit of question on whether it will actually get signed before year end. But as we have discussed as well, both sides really need a deal. Certainly the Chinese economy is slowing. US economy is slowing a little bit as well, and it just needs a little bit of a boost. And that sort of uncertainty from the sort of trade talk to be taken out of the equation. Well, there are still, some deals to be done out there. This week you've seen LVMH take over of Tiffany for around 16 billion. You've also seen Charles Schwab and TD Ameritrade. That's going to be around $26 billion. Obviously, we've still got the impeachment inquiry taking place. And, this week, obviously, going into Thanksgiving, it's just going to be interesting to see if there's any further action on that. I suspect probably not. But, certainly the sort of hearings and, should be sort of winding up and the vote coming hopefully sort of early December. What is quite interesting, though, certainly in the Senate, obviously, is, the Republicans are pretty much towing the party line. They have the majority in the Senate. And so, although the House will more than likely vote in favor of the impeachment, it's very hard to see the vote going against the president in the Senate. Now, the big news in the United States on the election front is that Michael Bloomberg has thrown his hat into the ring. He's the billionaire that really could be quite a threat to President Trump. He's pretty well liked. He's got a pretty good track record. Ex-mayor of New York. say successful businessman, and you know, it'd really be very interesting to see how he sort of stacks up in the polls. Oil still range bound and really not doing very much, you know, sort of plus or minus $2 from sort of 55 on WTI. UK elections in full swing now, and obviously Brexit, you know, really is the key sort of debate there. Looks like it's going to be pretty interesting because at the moment it looks like the Conservatives will get a majority. It's just a question of whether they get enough for an overall majority or whether they have to have a coalition. Now, obviously, if there is a coalition, then potentially Brexit is sort of thrown back into the melting pot because, you know, sides just can't seem to agree on what is the best way forward. And it's just going to be interesting to see come December the 12th what the actual outcome is. A little bit closer to home, the RBA, Central Bank of Australia, is still pretty dovish out there. Obviously, they've got record low interest rates of 0.75, and there is still some talk that potentially you might see them go down to 0.5. But what is sort of evident is that, you know, the low interest rates are starting to have a little bit of an impact on the housing market. Certainly house prices are starting to increase a little bit in the main sort of centres, Sydney and Melbourne, which really have been pretty sluggish for the last sort of 15 to 18 months. And obviously that price rise is really on the back of sort of increased activity and a little bit of sales going through as well. Similar case here in New Zealand, you know, housing market, everyone was sort of expecting it to sort of, you know, sort of fall reasonably sort of aggressively, but that really hasn't been the case. Obviously that half point cut back in August really still hasn't filtered through the economy yet, but is starting to have a little bit of impact on the housing market. Certainly starting to see a little bit of a pickup in sort of sales activity. You know, low mortgage rates obviously helping that, but also as well, you know, a little bit more sort of confidence spreading through the economy. That seems to be backed up by the data as well. You know, we had some pretty weakish inflation data, which was, you know, potentially expected to see the Reserve Bank of New Zealand cut interest rates. They did leave rates on hold. And that was probably justified because the recent retail sales was quite a bit stronger than anticipated. And they say sort of showing there is a little bit of confidence certainly down there at the consumer level, if not on the business front. Still seeing a little bit of tension out there in the government. You know, there's still a little bit of friction out there, and it's just going to be interesting to see you know, how that sort of plays through, especially going into 2020 with the election year. Obviously, here in New Zealand, you know, we still got you know, low interest rates, and you know that means low sort of term deposit rates and saving rates on bonds, etc. But if you are looking for income, there's plenty of alternatives available. And call us on 0800 867 323 to discuss what's available. There's certainly New Zealand economy still in reasonable shape, you know, and there are some pretty good alternatives out there and some pretty good options. So if you are looking for income. So if you are looking for income, say call us on 0800 867 323 or go to the website www.bayfinancialpartners.co.nz for lots of interesting articles. I look forward to speaking to you soon.